Hello again, this is Charlie Bellefontaine, and you're listening to the Home Buyers Hour. Oh my goodness, I keep forgetting the name of our very own show. So we're just going to stop and come back. Good morning again, this is Charlie Bellefontaine, and you're listening to the Chicago Housing Experts right here on WCPT AM 820.
New here, I think that makes sense. John Barnick, I'm the state broker, designated managing broker for Real Broker in Illinois. I don't really feel like I'm a super special person. I just really have worked hard.
You are special
throughout my life, and I just try to do what's right by people. And I feel like always doing your best and doing what's right for people has gotten me pretty far. So
Nice.
I'm very blessed and honored to be in the position that I am and help the people that I get to help, both our agents and our clients. And I take a very service approach to leadership and giving back to our community.
I like that, but and one of the things I follow up with, is you do the right thing at the right time, you do it the right way, and you do it for the right reason. But I want to know more about Real, because you're a state mortgage broker or managing broker for
Not
the entire
mortgage.
state. I
Not
just say
mortgage.
mortgage. I misspoke.
It's managing.
But managing
Managing
broker is
broker,
what I
yes.
meant to say. And it's statewide. So how many real estate brokers are there under Real's name in the state of Illinois?
In Illinois, we're about 475 agents. Right now.
475. And how many brick and mortar locations?
We have about 6 or 7 locations now.
But brick and mortar is not the forte of Real. Is that a correct statement?
Correct. Yeah. So we started as a virtual brokerage. That's our ideal business model. And as we started to grow, we noticed a need for space. And really, it was teams or brokerages that were merging with our company that had space that were bringing it with them. And Real has never said no to office space. It's just not part of their business model. So what they've done is created a partnership with agents, team leaders, and brokerage owners that want to open up space or want to bring space with them to allow for more collaboration and like a community feel locally.
And Steve, you're with the Kamar Group, and you guys moved over to Real.
Correct.
And you're a brick and mortar. What made you make that decision?
I mean, so I've went through 3 different brokerages, and there's many reasons why I switched from where I was at to Real. One of the main things is John had just brought up, which is the virtual/cloud-based aspect. I think where real estate is going, and a lot of things out there is going to be cloud-based anyway. So brick and mortars really are not going to be a thing. I think that's going to be eventually gone because we can do our business from anywhere. We're real estate agents. So whether you're commercial, whether you're residential, that's why. Reason I went to Real was the opportunities. They are agent-centric, which means they take care of us. We work extremely hard with our clients out there, and we deserve and work extremely hard and deserve a great opportunity and to be able to grow and to scale. And I think that's one of the main reasons why I joined. I also joined because of the fact of the camaraderie, the attitude, the educational, everyone working together to reach the same goal, which is to take care of clients better than you ever have been able to, whether it's through technology, whether it's through customer service. As John had mentioned, the fact of the servicing is a huge, huge thing. I do completely SOI, which is, a sphere of influence. So it's repeat clients, it's constant referral. That's the only thing I work on. I don't work on the whole aspect of, cold calling and FISBOs, canceled, expired, things like that. It's a great business model as well, to grow your business. But I've been in this industry for about 19 years now. And for me, just the relationship building is huge. So Real is a huge part of that as well. It's just another way to do more for your clients.
You guys have your office in Evanston. How many agents are in that building?
So we have now 25. We have a full ops team as well. So they take care of everything, paperwork related, business related in regards to that. And we go out and we essentially make it rain, as we will. So in other words, be able to network and talk with clients and really bring them value.
You just had my favorite attorney give you a big old sigh.
I know,
right
I heard
there.
him. He likes to mess with me. It's fine.
One of the things that we all have in common here, and I do value all of you, is that we're client focused first. You know, it's
100%.
not the business, it's not the corporation. We know that if we treat our clients well, the money's going to come. And my beef with most people in the real estate business is always going to be they want the money first and then the clients come second. And it just gives us all a bad reputation and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm talking from the heart. So make fun of me, young man.
It sounds good.
Good morning. I think you're pointing at me,
I am.
even though you keep talking. My name is Patrick Loftus. I'm a real estate lawyer. You know, I have to say, first of all, find me on social media, Loftus_law on Instagram, Loftus Law on TikTok, and go to my Amazon wish list to buy me something nice. I don't have one. I'm just kidding.
Is that a thing?
We'll talk later.
All right.
I do
My
have to
MySpace account is going down, just so you know.
You're on Facebook.
MySpace?
You are
Just say MySpace.
Charlie, as we all know, as you repeatedly tell us every week, you are
do.
chronically on Facebook. Like, as the young people say, you need to touch grass once in a while. Okay. I do have to say, before I cede the
marijuana?
floor to collectively our favorite mortgage broker, Joey Mathews, the VA Loan Nerd on our socials, is that Joey Mathews, the VA Loan the VA Loan Nerd on our socials, has a rival in terms of the nicest voice on the show today.
does.
Because John, I gotta tell you, you might have been meant for this because you've got a very. I felt very relaxed as you were going through and describing things.
This
and
is the trigger part we warned you about. He's
all
gonna
I can-
make fun
This
of
is
you.
good.
all I can tell
It's
you is
very
that
good. You know,
He's just jealous.
as soon as Steven reached out to me and said, like, hey, can you come on a radio show? I've been practicing my radio voice to get ready for this. So thank you. It's
this-
working.
I
just
what-
want another 40 minutes of the monologue.
I'm telling you, Charlie, Steve, myself, we're all gonna be quiet. We're gonna let John and Joey take over and just
That is a lie. You know you can't be quiet.
That is true.
No, that's
You
true.
cannot be
I have
quiet.
to roast somebody every 15 minutes, or I
Call it the Patrick Show
my
half the time.
card
Yeah,
turns into a
seriously.
pumpkin. Anyways, that's all I had to say.
Joey,
for now.
give me the lowdown and just interrupt him, please.
An electric pumpkin.
Thank you.
Joey Mathews. I feel like I have to use my radio voice now. The VA Loan Nerd. You can find me on all socials as Patrick wouldn't shut up about, and it's at the VA Loan Nerd. You can swing by my website, thevaloannerd.com. You can call or text me at 630-235-2405. In the markets, we are seeing some we are seeing buying. We are seeing buying. In the MBS market right now, we have the Fed making the interest rate decision at 2 p.m. Central Time on Wednesday, May 7th. They will not be moving rates, but we won't see any movement until 2:30 when Jay Powell opens his mouth and ruins my life, which he tends to enjoy doing. We're still trading in a very narrow range since essentially January with some peaks and valleys. And as I always say, today, if you are ready, is the day to buy. Don't time the market. There's no such thing. It just doesn't. It's not a thing. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. We've seen it for years. It doesn't work.
Joey does Venmo me $20 every time I say his handle on social media, so there's a reason I do that. But I also enjoy it, so it's a win-win, really.
And Jay Powell does text me every single day. He goes, "What does Joey want me to do?"
What did Joey say today? So I can F that up too. Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm gonna start working in reverse, man. Jay Powell's gonna say we're cutting or we're adding like 8 points to the Fed funds rate. That's what I want him to say today. There we go. Listen, Jay.
You do know that's a Seinfeld episode, right? Where George did the opposite of everything.
Yes.
And then he
Seinfeld?
became very famous. Yeah.
Yes.
Worked out well for him.
I bet it did.
Oh my God, keep talking.
You know, Seinfeld ended in like 1997.
Hey, don't.
Don't do
No.
Yeah, don't do that.
You need to stop.
Don't mention that it ended in 1997.
No,
Don't
I'm
go
just
dissing
saying-
Seinfeld.
It's very sad that it ended in general. So
All right. So I got a little bit of a situation of something here that has happened in the home inspection related field, and I kind of want to get your guys' take on this thing. All right. I have a client that ended up buying a house in the south suburbs, and they did not buy the house. There was a flip. It was a very poorly done flip, so they didn't buy it. One of the things I like to do is coach clients so they don't have to go through that whole rigmarole. And what I mean by that is it's emotional. You know, I don't want to be the deal killer. Nobody does, because somebody went ahead and bought a house. But I'm still going to educate the client on what it is that they're buying. If they don't want to accept it, then they don't have to accept it. That's their choice. So now this client is buying another house. She's getting ready to put an offer on it. She sent me a previous home inspection report. And, of course, I'm such an idiot that I go ahead and I look up the person who did the inspection, and they are not licensed here in the state of Illinois. I want to know what you guys would do in these
Is that bad?
situations. Yeah, of course it's bad. We have to be licensed in Illinois. Real estate brokers have to be licensed. Do attorneys? You don't have to be licensed, right?
We don't have to be licensed.
All right, do you?
I
I'm
mean,
curious. I
there's
know
like
you have
that-
a degree,
There's
but,
like that whole exam we take.
but that's the bar exam. That's becoming an attorney. But I mean a real estate attorney. That's not a
No,
specific license, is it? Like a real estate broker or managing broker?
The only real like extra credential you can get
Yeah.
would be I think you need to pass a separate exam to be a patent lawyer. Someone's going to call me up on that if I've slightly got that
That's
wrong,
fine.
but there
Yeah.
is like certain disciplines in intellectual property do require like another credential. But basically, once you pass the bar, you can be any kind of lawyer you want. The world is yours.
Sounds good. And you don't have to do any sort of real estate related CE, right?
I don't have to, but I mean, it'd be kind of silly if my primary focus is in residential real estate and I'm off doing 30 hours of criminal law CLE. We call it CLE. Okay, everything's different with lawyers.
What's that actually?
So what does the L for CLE stand for?
Yeah.
Yes.
Lawyer.
Close.
Lecturer.
Legal.
Legal.
Continuing legal
All
education.
right. I may not be the smartest guy in this room, but I'm definitely the most consistently dumb guy in this room. All right.
I've got to try to be less of a jerk, but
No, I
I mean
appreciate it.
that's really not the easiest thing in the world for me. I mean, once you get that credential, once you are admitted as a member of the bar, you are required to be kind of a jerk. They test us on that.
They do not.
It is. It's part of the ethics test. It's like, how do you treat people? It's like, well, no. Kind of bad, you get half credit for that. Mostly bad, that's the right answer. And then, acting like a complete maniac, you still only get half credit for that.
My wife's an attorney. I can vouch for that. That's absolutely true.
And it's kind of my
she's not
Again, this goes on social media. Careful.
But I do have a little bit of beef about attorneys because
little?
it goes back a little bit. Yeah, I got issues, all right.
You do.
But it goes back about doing the right thing at the right time. But I also understand that an attorney's job is to win an argument, all right? And I don't know if that's right or wrong or whatever, but if you're going to, let's say you're my attorney, I want you, no matter if I'm guilty or not guilty, I want you to fight to win the argument for me, all right? Is that a fair statement for an attorney, what their job is?
I mean, sure. Let's not split hairs. When it's all said and done, you're trying to advance someone's position as well as possible to get the best possible result. You can't win everyone.
Right.
It's not possible. If you, other than in the movies and maybe Law and Order.
Perry Mason.
I mean, I guess I don't know what that is. I only know about the Kathy Bates Matlock. I don't know about any other ones.
She's the new one.
That's not Perry Mason.
Not
either.
Andy Griffith. Andy Griffith was the true one and
Man.
only Matlock.
What's an Andy Griffith?
Oh my gosh, Barney Fife?
You're going back even more, man.
I
He's-
could still
he's
go
still
back to Jack
confused.
Benny. I don't stop
Jack Benny,
here.
there you go.
All right, I'll get on the radio if I need to.
Charlie
you know?
still calls movies and TV with sound talkies.
They are talkies when they make the sound. That's exactly what I do. So, all right, so let's start talking about actually professionalism and how we do what we do best for our clients. All right, one of the questions I threw out at you earlier, John, was if I was an agent and I already have my own business and everything else, why the heck would I want to come and work for you? Why not just keep things alone? What's in it for me? And then just for everybody else, whenever I do any sort of coaching for other home inspectors and their websites and everything else, the three biggest questions I always tell them to think about your client asking you is, so what, who cares, and what's in it for me? So if I'm a real estate agent and I hear about real, right?
He just
There's
wants to
nothing
call
else
you
on
guys.
Just real,
He wants
yeah.
to call you guys
It's just real.
anything other than the real name.
Well, Well, my brain is old. I can't, focus on everything else like that. So what's in it for me if I'm
It's
an
4
agent?
letters, REAL.
Yeah, but the L's backwards. Let's not lie about this. All right. So
It's
that's not
confusing.
that's a crazy letter.
In all fairness, it confused the state of Illinois. Like they said, we can't use our logo as our name.
That's hilarious.
We have to use a real L, is what they told us.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Well, where do you find? Let's just if,
You can't.
If we're gonna think real hard about it, where is that on the keyboard? If they're
It's
trying
not.
to keep records,
How do you find that, by the way? Like, I've been trying, like,
It's a
anytime
secret.
I would say real. It's like capital REA, and then I'm like, capital
Steve
L.
actually ripped off the L key on his laptop
Turn it
and
upside
turned it
down.
upside
Upside
down.
down.
It's
It still
really
doesn't work, does it?
No, it does not.
Okay,
crazy.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
How do you find that character though? But go answer my question.
Okay, yeah, we don't have to get too far
Yeah.
off that topic. I will tell you on the next episode how to do that. Okay, how about that?
Perfect.
So, there's a lot, and it's interesting. I think as the managing broker, like the question I heard you say specifically, like, what can I do for an agent, or why would someone want to join me?
Absolutely.
And it's not really me. I'm just like the person that technically is responsible for everything, but we have an amazing support structure, leadership team, and just so many people around us that make everything that we do possible for our agents and for our clients. So I'm like kind of the face here, and I appreciate that. I'm very grateful for the opportunity. But I really don't do like all the stuff that people think I do. Like as a managing broker, we have so many good people around us. So I just wanted to throw that out there and just give credit where it's due.
But I would also say you do a ton for us. So,
Well, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Sure.
So
credit's due.
there's 4 main reasons why agents and team leaders and broker owners are moving over to Real. And their technology, opportunity, our culture, and really just the economics, like the business model that we have just makes sense. You're going to just make more money working with us, to put it short, sweet, and simple. So I'm happy to dive into either one of those, or if there's one that stands out to you that sounds more interesting, or maybe high level over all of them. But those are the 4 main reasons why people tend to partner up with us. And last year we were the fastest growing publicly real estate traded company, fastest growing publicly traded, said that backwards, real estate company in the world. So adding about 1,000 agents a month through all of last year, and staying at that clip now. Yeah, nationwide.
Well, when I started, we came over to Real May 1st of last year, and we had 13,000 agents. Now we have over 27,000 agents. Our stocks went from 267 to now 4.3 or something, and it fluctuates between 4 and 5 all the time.
That's big growth.
It's huge, and it's getting bigger and getting better, and just giving agents such as myself who have been in the industry for a long time opportunities to not only continuously grow and scale, but also to have an opportunity where we're able to do more for our clients and be able to do more for ourselves and our family.
And that's important. I mean, we all want to live a quality life, but my biggest beef, because there's a lot of bigger companies that are buying up home inspection companies as well, and they're doing everything profit first, and I'm not a big fan of that. All right, I'm people first, and the profit will come. I'm more of a fan of that. And Patrick, I think you kind of agree with me. I know you're staying by yourself, and you're not trying to recruit other people. Is that a fair statement?
I'm very much profit first, because if I don't have profit,
He just wants to
then
argue with me.
I have a hard time paying the bills. But
We do have to make money.
if I would say if you're focused first on money, that usually kind of produces some it causes, at least for me, it causes me to have misaligned intentions, and you do things that are really, even though you think the money is the important thing, what ends up happening is you do things that sabotage your ability to make money. And so really focusing on the business, and if the business is serving clients, making sure they have a good experience, I think if you start there, the profit comes. I mean, business.
Always comes.
Listen, business. I can fight it as much as I want, but Jack Welch taught us that the shareholders come first, and so, if whoever come hell or high water, we're worried about the shareholders. But how do we serve the shareholders? We make sure that the money's coming in, and we make sure that the clients are getting the service they want, so that we can, keep doing that over and over again and build something.
And I'm with you on all that stuff, but it still goes back to, like, in my company, I am the only shareholder. All right, so I get to decide what the company and the direction that it's going to go, and we want to be client focused. And Steve will tell you, and everybody else who knows me, I'm very prejudiced against real estate agents. I just don't like most of them. There's just too many of them are unprofessional, and they care more about closing the deal, let alone the client being happy with what they bought. And I mean, we still meet the few, and I do respect both of you, and because you're in front of me, I guess I'm only going to talk bad about you when you're behind.
You should hear what he says.
Exactly, but and same thing, Joey is the same way. It's always focus first. And when I do recruit for home inspectors, because I do want to grow this company, I don't want to end up, I just don't want to put bodies out there in front of a house.
Yeah.
And right now, our biggest value is our reputation. And to me, that should be always the three most important words to any real estate professional is your reputation, reputation, reputation. And it shames me when I see people that are trying to manipulate somebody else and, downplay, sugarcoat, just play with stupid words and try and get them, just sign the paper, and it's just crazy when it comes to this stuff. And I don't know, Joey, how many people do you have working for you over there on your team?
For my individual production, I have 4 people. For my whole LO group, 6.
And how many roosters do you have on staff?
We have 2, and then a few chicks.
Yep. Nice.
I have no idea what all that was about.
Don't worry about it. If you are a
a dedicated listener would know.
Yes.
And go watch PJ's Instagram reels.
Devin knows what's up. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's interesting, Charlie, is what you just brought up about the fact of the recruiting aspect. The biggest thing with the difference with Real is we attract. So therefore, we don't just want any agent in there. We want good agents. We want producing
What's a good
agents,
agent,
but people, that are doing what they need to do to help, the general public out there. So it makes a big difference.
Well, to answer that question, so there's like 3 categories of agents I've seen over my career, and really since I've been with Real here.
I'm going to like this.
Yes,
Me
most
too.
people do. And give you a little background. So before I came to Real, I was an independent broker owner myself. Started pretty young in real estate, got in with some investors, and we decided to open up a brokerage after just a couple of years because we felt like that was a better route to go, and then eventually merged with Real. But if you notice, there's 3 types of agents out there, and if you look at last year, I think it was 70 or 71% of real estate agents didn't close one single transaction.
That's right.
73%, and then I think up to like 84% closed like maybe 1 or 2 transactions. So
That's
like
right.
if you close like 3 transactions, you could say like I'm in the top 16% of realtors, and
You do 6 and you're in the top 5%, you get to throw your badge out on Facebook.
Oh yeah, I love the Facebook award season.
Look at
when those
his
come out.
face. He's like so proud of himself for talking about Facebook.
But there's 3 types of agents that I've noticed. So there are agents that no matter what you do, they're not going to do the work. They're not going to be coachable. They might close a deal here or there if they get lucky, but they're just not going to do the work. And then there's agents at the top of the food chain where you couldn't stop them. It's basically like you give them the tools, the resources, the platform, you get out of their way, you let them run their business. And then there's this like middle group of agents that I think is a huge opportunity for us as an industry to really serve and help build up, that will do the work. They're coachable. They have good intentions. They want to do right by people. They want to build their business. They just need a little bit of coaching and guidance. And I think where we come in and a lot of the community culture and the resources that we provide, it's a great avenue for that middle group of agents that are hungry, willing to do the work, just need a little bit of guidance or some structure to step into so that they can grow and build a successful business, I think we can really help those agents thrive. So you could take that one, Charlie, the 3 groups of agents there, and share it with someone and claim it as your own. But
it's stolen.
That's what I've seen over the years. And I think with everything we've put together at Real, we have the ability to take those top producing agents, take their business to another level with the tools and resources we have and the opportunity. But then that middle group of agents, the ones that are hungry and ready to do something, they just need the structure and support. We have a lot of resources and tools to help those agents thrive and take their business to the next level too.
Another big word for me is expectations. And that, somebody who's in that middle range that you're talking about,
Yeah.
what do you expect from them? I mean, do you share what we should be expecting from you? If you don't want to do this, you're not on my team.
Yeah, so there's a couple levels to that question. And to give you some background, like I hate traditional teams. Like I just don't like the traditional team structure. I think it's more serving of the leader. And I'm more of like a have everybody win and like for me, if I ever started a team, I would be in the background. My name would not be on anything. I don't want my logo, my picture out there. I just want the people around me to win. And what I would do is I'd try to create an environment that would push everyone else up around me, because I know if I can help other people succeed around me, ultimately that's going to lead to my success too. I don't want to get too far off on the team tangent. I could stand on that soapbox all day. But as far as expectations go, I really only ask people to meet me halfway. And what I mean by that, it's like be coachable, do the work, and show up. Show up to the meeting, show up to the training, stay plugged in so you know what's going on and you're staying up to date. And then that's what I consider halfway. And then I will bring my experience, I'll bring my tools, my resources, my network, my relationships, everything that I've created over the years to the table to help you win and succeed if you'll just show up, plug in, and do the work.
So it's almost kind of like the old horse to water thing.
Exactly.
100%.
Yep.
But you just can't make everybody drink, and you got to find a person who wants to do it. See, I'm a little bit different. I'm more going to be, I don't want to retrain somebody. I don't want to re-coach somebody. I don't even want to hire somebody who has experience as a home inspector before. I want to fresh off the tree. This is Untouchables. Yes, I'm going old movies here. You get them off the tree before they're rotten fruit, before it comes in there, because I'm a stubborn old boomer that has my way of doing things, and it works in our company, and we're still able to grow when it comes to that. And if somebody can't buy in to that sort of mindset, because we are not real estate agent first, we are client first. And to me, it's always, you just can't serve two masters.
Yeah.
All right. And if you're going to be working with the real estate agent who doesn't want you to alarm their clients, if you ever hear a real estate agent use words such as deal killer, what are some of the other ones? Nitpicker, that comes in here. These are negative things that, somebody doesn't really value the client themselves. Now, don't get me wrong. If I was walking into a house and I said that, oh my God, your entire family's going to die because you don't have a GFI in your bathroom, okay, I think that's a little overboard, all right? And if that person's a deal killer or an alarmist, then that is rightfully so, all right? But when you just start pointing out all the things that are wrong in there and you are making a longer list, I've met real estate agents where the first question they go is, how many defects do you put in your report on average? And I tell them 70. Oh, that's way too many. You'll never get any business from us. You're never going to make it in this world. And I'm like, lady, you do 4 transactions a year. We do 2,000, and you're telling me I'm not going to make it.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But what about you, Patrick? What do you look for? Because I know you still work with a VA or two, right?
I have a paralegal. She's not virtual.
Now.
She's local. So.
But even that,
Very
this is a
real.
person that's representing you. And that, what is a quality that represents you properly?
I'm going to pass on this question because
It's the same question to Joey. He can help you. I know the
I
answer.
can answer the question for Patrick.
Listen,
Yeah.
I'm early in this journey, but it's as long as they're willing to
Schedule.
the calendar is pretty important, but
Yeah.
they've got to be willing to. We've got to be somewhere near the same page as far as the quality of the communication's got to be crisp. I don't want to be stepping all over each other. The calendar is got to be pristine. There are certain things, one of the hardest things about the practice of law is that the margin for error is very slim. There are some things you can get away with, but it's not that much. And people have a higher expectation of you as a lawyer. And so, if you are going to work with attorneys as support staff and you're going to work with attorneys that have a high standard, you yourself have to adopt a high standard. And over the years, my standard for myself has probably gotten too high in some respects, because everything makes me anxious at this point. But I try to temper that as much as I can. But you can't beat someone over the head with, well, you gotta do this different, you gotta do that different. Everything's wrong, because that's not leadership. That's just complaining. But as long as they're malleable and willing to work with you and willing to adopt, somewhere close to the standard that I need, we can work together. And there's not in my career, I haven't worked with that much support staff, but I can tell you that the couple of people that I've worked with that have been really good are fabulous. I mean, nice. If they would just take my job. But they don't want to do that. They just want to be, they want to be on the team. And it's like, cool. Those are very difficult to find. And, lawyers don't give those people up when they have them on staff. So.
No, I could buy into that. I'm gonna change the subject just a little bit, something that made the news on the Sun Times. And I want to get your 2 cents on this. In fact, all 4 of you, I'm sorry. So, there's a lawsuit that actually got on TV and the newspapers. Somebody bought a house, I think it's Albany Park area, and the inspector never went up in the attic, or at least they said they went up in the attic, but the attic was filled end to end. Literally, not one piece of insulation was visible because there was cat feces up there. There was bones, carcasses, everything else. The gentleman that was there, they did have a lot of feral cats that were coming into the house. Holes were in the walls, so they were just going in and out all the time. The person ended up dying in the building, and obviously the cats took over everything else that was in there. So the couple ended up buying the house, and as soon as they moved in, there was a putrid smell of everything else, and finally they did hire somebody to go up in the attic, and then that's when they noticed all this stuff, and then, of course, the attorneys come out. Are these professionals, are they in trouble? There's a lot of people involved here, and Joey, I'm going to ask Patrick first, but I want you to chime in too. Is the appraisers also allowed? But Patrick, who's really at fault here?
There's probably a little bit to go around everybody. Name one person in this scenario where you can say, yeah, you're squeaky clean. This is going to sound self-serving, but probably the lawyer is off the hook. The lawyer that represented the buyer, because they'll never physically be at the home, almost certainly. So
that's the only person that would be off the hook there.
Probably. If I'm trying to evaluate this case, if someone comes to me, my first reaction would be, God, that is terrible. That is the last thing you want to have happen to you in your new home. But really, my next question would be, what is this going to cost to fix the problem? Good. So, we're obviously going to need to hire some people to come take all of that out, probably get rid of whatever insulation is affected, probably all of it, by the sound of it. But then,
and that's about $1.50 a square foot to get rid of insulation.
Well, so then we're going to replace the insulation, probably, with some blown in, whatever. But at the end of the day, what will that ultimately cost? I would think perhaps just sort of, I'm just doing some back of the envelope math here.
Well, forget about the cost. How about the fact that the people that have bought the house, where do they go?
Where do they go? I
wouldn't stay in that house.
Well, so on what basis?
What if you had kids?
There's well, sure, but you can't just be like, well, I don't want to be in there. If you've got some demonstrable reason why it's toxic and until it gets remediated, it's not habitable. Okay, fine. So you've got some maybe time in a hotel until that happens. But the world
goes back to the money.
The world, well, exactly. As a lawyer, unfortunately, I've got to kind of set aside the optics of it, unless I'm looking to get on the news and get my name out there. I mean, that would be a viable reason to take kind of a case that's gonna ultimately maybe go nowhere. But if you can get your name out there, it might be worth it for the lawyer to take that on. But that would be my first thing is, all right, let's all kind of calm down. Let's let the emotions subside, and then let's talk brass tacks. Who did what, and then what's the cost, and how are we going to divvy that up? And if you can get to that place in that situation, I don't think, as bad as it sounds, right? It's gross, no question about it. But Charlie, it's not different. That's not all that different than what you described when you're talking with your clients about the defects in their home that are discovered, which is, all right, so let's talk about it.
How bad, how much, who pays?
Sure. And so, if you can kind of get past the part of that, and you go, all right, so what's the dollar net figure on it? And if it's $25K and there's 4 people willing to split that cost, you go, I hate that happened, but there's a light at the end of that tunnel. There's a happy ending there somewhere.
And that's I'm going to steal it, that this is my generation. Again, it goes back to, John, what we were saying earlier. You do the right thing at the right time for the right reason, and you do it the right way.
Yep.
And I don't judge people by the mistakes they make, all right? I don't. I judge them how they react or what they do about those mistakes.
That's such a non-boomer attitude. Every boomer I know.
Not a boomer attitude.
Every boomer I know is
we are accountable. That's not true.
We're here. You did something wrong, and you need to be yelled at.
That is not true.
Can the problem be fixed?
If it was only being yelled at. When I was a kid, it wasn't just being yelled at.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
But whenever there's a lawyer yelling at me about something that is really something no one can fix, it's always a boomer.
Unbelievable.
What? Oh,
By the
wow.
way, I know, right? This is why nobody likes you. To all the boomers out there in AARP, please unite. We're going to get together.
A senior discount?
No, we don't give any sort of senior discounts. But Joey, what about the appraiser? Has he got a thing in this game here?
Well, because I am who I am, I went full psycho mode and pulled all the information on this property. They did put 20% down on this thing. It's conventional. I wonder if they had an appraisal waiver and if an appraiser ever went into the property, because it looks like it was priced low based on what I'm seeing. Probably to get it sold. I would imagine that the list agents who I am staring at right now maybe they do. I don't know.
Doesn't an appraiser go in the attic? I mean, is that part of?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Appraisers don't even go to the house sometimes.
Sometimes they don't even. They do a desktop
Drive-by appraisal.
Drive-by.
Desktop appraisal. Yep.
So I had one yesterday that closed, and my clients were telling me I didn't know this. So they were renting the home, and then they ultimately bought it, and there were 2 appraisals, which is unusual, or 2 appraisers that came in. They said to me the first appraiser was in such bad physical condition that they couldn't go into the different parts of the house. They couldn't climb stairs. They couldn't get into most of the house. So they were in the kitchen area while their spouse went around and took pictures of all of the rest of the house, and that's how they were going to do their appraisal. Evidently, the lender must not have found that to be sufficient, so they sent out another appraiser who was about it. But you just like any other profession, you get all kinds of people who are, they got their own foibles.
I've never seen that before, ever. An appraiser, like a team or even a husband and wife type thing or spouse or whatever. That's never been the case. The biggest thing or the biggest concern that we may have is the fact of do you do appraisals in this area? How well do you know this area?
Yeah.
No, I'm in the suburbs, but I'm checking out South Loop. Nope, no, you're not.
Yeah,
you
from Plainfield. I drove in from Plainfield to do this appraisal in Edgewater. It's
right.
Don't
what?
tell me
No,
that.
absolutely not. You need to switch out that appraiser.
Why?
Why? Because they don't know the area. They don't know how to appraise it. They don't know the value. I mean, I'm not trying to knock them, but anyone can do a CMA. Okay, anyone can see, oh, this property went for 100, this one went for 200. this one's 150, it must be appraised.
We
Alright.
talk all the time about how local real estate is, and we talked earlier at breakfast about how it can even vary block to block in the city.
Yep.
And if you're coming from,
100%.
if you do most of your appraisals in platted subdivisions out in the suburbs, if you're mainly in Naperville, Wheaton, Palatine, Crystal Lake, Orland Park, whatever, it's really easy in comparison to trying to appraise like just any 3-flat condo on the north side or in Bronzeville or whatever, North Lawndale, wherever you are. And so if they're just sort of picking because it's in the same subdivision in the city, they could get it real wrong because they're making some assumptions that just are incorrect.
But it is a numbers thing, and this is all. I'm going to use the word
It is
evidence.
not all a numbers thing.
No, it's
Appraisal
also-
is much more an art than a science.
Yeah, it's very much an art. And as the seller's agent, if you don't make sure that appraiser knows what they're doing, they could technically not appraise it to value.
Charlie,
And then then your seller may have an issue where they have to, we may have to renegotiate. And if you can't renegotiate,
You're triggering me.
Charlie obviously hasn't watched the latest video I
Okay,
did
so-
for Real Estate
Oh,
Central.
no, I got
So-
you blocked. Yes. Sorry.
no,
Go ahead.
I wasn't trying to.
It
So
was all about appraisals.
the renegotiation aspect, then that may end up, canceling or killing the deal for your seller. And it's all because you as the agent didn't do your job.
Okay. And this is a trigger of mine. All right. And I agree with you 110%.
Okay.
And a lot of my beef is, I always want real estate agents who really value their positions. I want them to know what Patrick is going to do. I want them to know as much of that law. I want them to know the home inspector's job. I want them to know what I'm going to do. I want them to know what Joey's going to do. All right. How the heck are you going to make sure that you're treating my client, and let's say I'm the real estate agent, if you don't know what I'm supposed to do and what a good one of me is, how am I supposed to know, if you're going to be treating my client right? And this is the stuff that I just don't see. And the one thing that I constantly hear is stay in your lane, and it just drives me up the wall.
Well, there's a certain aspect to that, right? I mean, it's kind of like a commercial broker being a residential broker, unless you actually know what you're doing. That's why I don't do.
Well, that's everything.
That's
right?
why I don't do commercial broking, whatever. I'm not a commercial
you're
broker.
talking like me now.
So
See,
I
it's
don't do.
contagious.
So I don't do commercial, and the
You would
reason
be
being is
broke
because
if you
I
were
don't
doing
know what I'm
commercial.
doing. Now, can I sell your building? Can I help you buy a building that's commercial? Absolutely.
Well, you're
With a little
motivated
bit
enough
of
to
skill.
learn.
But when it comes to leasing and knowing how to play that game, it's not a good idea unless I actually know. So what I'll do is I'll rely on maybe another real broker or someone I know that would be able to assist me so that I can do a good job for that client. So staying in your lane just means that if you know what you're talking about and it's part of what you do anyway, then I think it's legit. Now, I'm not saying that people get frustrated because you may actually catch them in an act that is not legal, not right, not ethical. I mean, all the above. And then they get defensive because of that.
Yeah.
That's normally why they say stay in your lane for the most part.
Well, I also think
I don't know if you agree
a
with
lot of
that.
that is from like the E&O defense lawyers would want that to be really the kind of the knee-jerk dogmatic way to describe how to conduct themselves as realtors, at least, just because you can easily fall off of the realtor path and onto the unauthorized practice of law path, which you don't want because unauthorized practice of law is unauthorized, right? So I think it's just easier to say that than to kind of teach people the nuances. And I think where this ultimately intersects is where at least understanding enough to spot an issue and say, hey, this is something you should talk to the lawyer about. Just like when I see an issue of valuation, for example, or really anything that's related to the market, the negotiations that took place before I was involved, that's something I need to talk to the agent, the client. I need to gather and understand more about
Need to learn.
those things. I understand that I don't know enough about any given market that I'm going to sit there and tell a client, yeah, that's a hot market. How would I know?
Well, and that brings it up. Another thing too is like you guys talked about staying in your lane. There are agents out there that are representing a lot of different hats, if you will, that should not be.
Explain.
Well, so I recently had a transaction where
Because I want to get into real estate. I want to be a real estate agent and a home inspector.
anyway, so this agent is a lot of different
I think
things.
I triggered him.
An
now.
agent not at our firm.
So that is correct. 100%. She's not at our firm. Oh, she's a she. Sorry. Anyway, there's lots of them.
Careful.
So
just say they them. It's easy.
They them.
they them. Okay. So they decided they are a real estate broker, a managing broker, a lender,
Probably an interior decorator.
no.
Title rep.
A title rep. And one other thing I can't think of. Anyway, so they also they were also giving legal advice,
Oh, geez.
which was not ethical, right, all the above, and should have been
authorized.
reported and was not because of the certain aspects of the deal, the certain people in the deal. So staying in your lane is extremely crucial because this deal could have blown up on the buy side and the sell side. And it actually was the lender, Joey, that saved the deal. Yeah.
Well, how'd the lender save the deal?
Basically, the seller was trying to pull a fast one, take it off the market as we were almost about to close and saying, nope, you didn't get back to me fast enough. I'm pulling this and so on. And their attorney said, really, that's not a good idea because you're in breach of multiple things. So the lender reached out and basically realized that they had a 24-hour window in order to make it so the seller had to sell. Otherwise, they would be in serious trouble.
So they wrangled a clear to close out of thin air. Is what
You
it
know
sounds
who
like.
I'm talking about. Anyway, the
Joey,
point.
what is he talking about? I don't know what he's talking about.
He wrangled a clear to close. Tell me more.
I'm making. I spoke just kind of off the cuff.
Long story short, the person was very much out of their element. They tried to play all kinds of games, and they tried to get a piece
Oh,
of the
that's
pie.
why it
On,
was a schmuck. I'm allowed to say schmuck, right?
piece of pie on everything, and they did not care one bit about their client.
This is
And
the
they're-
selling agent or the listing agent?
This was the buyer's agent
Buyer's agent. Wow.
who had
See, now
5
you-
different hats,
And you want to know why? I
which
don't
they
like them.
don't.
Right.
Oh my
Very annoying.
Yes, Joey, that's correct. So, anyway, it was saved, but I'll tell you what, there's a lot of wrong things there, and it should have been definitely promoted, such as this situation with the inspection, where this is now out in the open, so everyone knows about it.
Let me just throw this out there because I think it's worth mentioning. If you're involved in a transaction, you're selling your home, and even if it's the highest offer, if you have the same name as the buyer's broker, as is the same name as the mortgage broker, I would put that one at the very bottom of the list because that's a person trying to do too much. And if they're out, look. I want my mortgage broker to be like Joey Mathews, the VA loan nerd on all socials, where he is in front of his keyboard.
$20.
He is punching away on that keyboard 24/7, it seems like, because he is getting stuff done. I don't want him out there showing homes for an 8-hour Tuesday afternoon where I really need him to be dialed into the lending part of the transaction. So trying to wear both of those hats, if you want to extend Steve's metaphor, is a recipe for a bad time. So if you're selling your home, look for 2 different names there. If you're engaging with a real estate broker and they say, hey, I also do loans, hire them for one or the other. Don't hire them for both. Have 2 people on the team. Why have one person on the team when you can have 2 people on the team?
No, I'm with you, and it goes back to the professionalism and knowing your job, and that's one of the things. I didn't really give Joey a chance to, chime in.
never
I
do.
No, I don't. I talk too much, Mr. Bloviating Charlie here.
have
I get
fun.
it, but one of your biggest things is that, well, quite frankly, Joey, you're a jerk. When it comes to making sure that all the other people that are working under your name, that they're actually going to do their work, you know. And I get it that you're very adamant that you don't tolerate laziness. And when somebody's going to check up on these things, they're going to make sure that every T is crossed and I is dotted. And I don't think I'm exaggerating, am I?
No, I'm not going to pre-approve anybody that's not going to give me docs, and I'm also not going to work with someone who refuses to give me docs.
And I have to say that doesn't
I'll
mean
link up with
you're a jerk
Yeah.
either. That means that you're being thorough and doing a great job for that client.
He's enforcing what works well.
Yes.
Is what it is. And
100%.
sometimes that does take being a jerk.
Well, people get
You
mad
know?
about the fact of him not being able to pre-approve him because they have millions of dollars. Well, they may have millions
care.
of dollars, but can they show it? Can they prove it?
And the more you
I'm
make,
right
the more
there
you
with
spend.
you.
So I really don't care. Like, I want to see how much you're spending, Mr. Millionaire. Congratulations.
You don't
Yeah.
want to see what I spend. It's
Debt
way too
ratios
much.
matter.
Moneybags Bellefontaine with the low key flex. Every time there's always some way, you know, where he's like, yeah, you know, my gigantic mansion up in Wilmette with my orange appliances
1,600 square feet.
and my no.
And it's orange because it's faded. No, that's not true. It was actually painted orange. And there's no urinal
That's
in
more
the
than
garage.
1,600.
There is a urinal. We know there's a urinal.
Yeah,
in
it
the garage.
is.
My house?
And a bidet.
You know, I have to say to
disagree.
Charlie and to Joey, I have something to admit to you guys, and I'm not.
Oh no!
You have a urinal in your garage?
Is it
He
finally?
does.
No, the
Urinal is
Is it
association.
finally happening?
The association would never stand for that. But I don't know if you guys remember our discussion about whether you back into your or forwards or backward into your parking space, and I've now become a back into the parking space man.
Good man. Good.
Good job.
Welcome to the real world.
Yes.
It's so
Isn't it,
dumb, but yeah,
No, it's not. It's easy,
Straight out.
super easy.
I hate
Yeah,
admitting
plus,
that
if
to
ever
you
rob a
guys.
place, it's way easier to get away.
Get away. I have 4 floors to drive down. I'm not
Joey's like,
getting away. I'm not getting away from anyone.
so Joey's
I'm driving
got
around in
the-
a circle, getting dizzy.
Joey's got the awesome Cybertruck. So
Yeah.
we rip on him all the time.
He's
on
got
it.
the douche-mobile.
But
Yeah.
but
How is
here's
that
how
working
genius
for you?
this guy is. He gets the Cybertruck, he wraps it in the VA loan, and he gets like 3 or 4 leads a week. Is that right?
I would say at least a week. Yeah, I got 2 yesterday.
And he got banned from the Arizona Cardinals stadium as well.
Makes sense.
That's also true.
Did you really? What happened?
Yeah, dude. It's an advertisement, right? So they're like, hey, we marked down your car, we have your license plate, and obviously there's only one car like this. So if we ever see you again, we're gonna have to tow you.
What?
And there's probably
Yeah.
another lender who's the official lending sponsor of
Well,
Arizona,
I know,
Arizona Cardinals football.
That's crazy.
I mean, the long-term goal here is it's going to be VA Loaned Stadium, so there's that.
Oh.
And
Oh,
that's
nice.
what I want to hear.
Hey,
you
guys,
can't
just-
beat 'em,
can I
buy
get
'em.
an- just give me an invite. Get me an invite to one of the nice, boxes for a couple games.
I'll
a
even
year.
let you bring down your wrapped car. It
I
says
do like the
VA
sound of
Loaned
that
all
now
over
that
it.
you're saying it.
The
You know, the
VA loan.
Chicagoland home inspector
You don't need to do that
Cubs.
because you're busy enough and you have 7,000 reviews or whatever you have. They're all
I
5-star.
want to own the Cubs. Wrigley, sorry, I'm taking them away from you.
Sure, Ricketts.
All right, we got it.
I'm
Ricketts,
sure.
thank you. I even got the wrong name. Wrigley's always with the Tribune,
You
right?
can have the basketball stadium
gosh.
name.
Wirtz, is that right?
He doesn't know that movie.
No,
he is way
does
too
not.
old for that
Basketball?
movie.
Yeah, what was the stadium? What was the
The
name?
Milwaukee.
Oh.
I know it's the Milwaukee Beers.
Milwaukee Beers.
And I'll come back next week to our fun little show about real estate to find out the
What
basketball
basketball?
stadium name for the Milwaukee Beers.
I'd
know what it
rather
is, right?
have the Chiefs come out of there and the Hanson brothers on my hockey team. That's
Yeah.
what I want to
Oh,
do.
the Hanson
And
brothers.
yes,
Like
I
the-
am
that was
going back
awesome.
again.
I can
Black
F's
guys?
with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We are out of time, so we do have to zip this up. If you don't mind, John, give us your contact information one last time.
Sure. Yeah, John Barnack, 630-439-6385. I am one of those crazy people that gives out my cell phone, so just give me a shout. And you can follow me on Instagram at john.barnack and see all the fun stuff I put out there, too.
Sounds good, Steve.
Nice. Steve Davis, Real Brokerage, Kamar Group. My number is 312-513-6314. You can find me on Instagram at I'm Steve Davis.
Patrick Loftus, real estate lawyer. Find me on Instagram, Loftus_law. Find me on TikTok, Loftus Law. Come check out my Etsy store where I make heirloom doilies.
You do not. Joey?
I might.
Oh my Christ.
You don't know.
Joey Mathews, the VA Loan Nerd. You can find me on all the socials as at the VA Loan Nerd. You can find my website at thevaloannerd.com. You can call or text me at 630-235-2405.
And I want to give special thanks to Devin Tingle, the producer, who, by the way, did confirm that Seinfeld ended in 1998. Seinfeld, not Field. My name is Charlie
Absolutely
Bellefontaine,
nailed it.
Chicagoland
What
Home
is he talking
Inspectors.
about?
All the shenanigans.
Thank you for listening.